Hello everyone, welcome back to the day one for our advanced basic plus advanced Selenium training. What we're going to do today is we will take our first example of what we want to do in a journey of really mastering Selenium as a tool, and we will go in the direction of making sure that how do we get started. So to do this team, the first thing I'll do is let's go to our Google Drive. I've already created a folder in here which is talking about Selenium May 29, 2015. The first document that I created as part of the orientation session, also I'm going to be putting it up here so you all can access it. But in here, I'm going to call this as our project one. I'm creating a new folder. And this project will talk about a simple Google Doc within this. All right, so project one. In this project team, what we will do is we will talk about how we create a Selenium IDE test. So we will start with IDE in a very quick manner, and in this we will talk about the test case, the test steps. We will talk about how we identify elements using XPath and run the test. After that, we will talk about migrating the Selenium IDE script into a Selenium Webdriver script with Eclipse as our platform. So what this will do, team, it will give you a comfort level of all those prerequisites that I spoke about. All right. While I've asked you all to go through the prerequisites and said that, hey guys, you guys all should go through this specific system of what we do on the basics, on the fundamentals, and we take it to the next level. I don't expect you to be master at those basic initial prerequisites that I've asked you to go through. However, what I intend to do is give you a quick background about it and make sure that we move in the fast direction in that way. Okay, so this is project one overview, what we're going to do. So before we get started, team, I just want to ask a quick question, and I'll be happy if everyone can give a few seconds to let me know through the chat as to how many of you have gone through all the prerequisites of videos that we've asked you to do. Can you please kindly let me know, team? I've asked you to go through a few videos. Have you all gone through them? Yes or no is good. Yes, I've gone through, or no, I've not gone through. I'm just looking at the what I've received from the audience. So give me a few seconds. So please, all of you, give a few seconds and do vote as to have you gone through or you didn't get a chance to go through it. All right, looks like some of you have, some of you haven't, and some of you have gone through partially. So it's like a mixed thing. But be rest assured, we will go through them once again, and we will make sure that we cover those basic concepts before we go advanced into our coding and so on. But team, we will have a break for about 2 3 days in the weekend and so on. I'll request you once again to make sure that you go through that. Okay. All right, team. So let's get started with what we want to do. What I'm going to do, team, is I'm going to create a new Excel sheet and talk about our first project as an application under test. And we will talk about how we go about executing our plan through it. I've opened up a Google spreadsheet. What we're going to do is we will create our complete project work under this framework, under this package. And then we will make sure that once we get through the execution, all of this documents will be shared with you. Project 1, Selenium IDE to Webdriver. All right, so here I'm going to talk very briefly, team, about the application under test. We will talk about the start date. We'll talk about the end date. We'll talk about scope, and let's talk about application domain, what domain it belongs to. Okay. In this team, what I want to be able to do is give you the project works and all the details of what and how we're going to do. I'll talk about the application and the test very briefly, but let's talk about the start date and end date. So today is the 5th of June. I'm in India, in fact, at the Mother Nature's thing. So, but it's actually the 4th, which is what the US time is. So it's going to be 4/6/4/2015, and we will complete this by 6/5/2015. So no more than 2 days for the first project. Now let's talk about the application and the test very briefly and what we're going to do with it. I'm going to take the application howley.in. I don't know how many of you have seen this website earlier, but this is a project that we've been doing as part of development and testing for a long time. And the reason we want to be able to take this is we want to make sure that you all get an access to be able to put this as part of your course, as part of your training program in your own profiles. So how we're going to do is very simple, team. I want you to go to the IT Learn website and look at one specific video that I did very recently, about a few weeks back, where we talk about how to get project experience on your resume without having to fake anything, without having to say that, like I've randomly said that I've done something there. So if you go under events in IT Learn website and just scroll down the bar, you will see need project experience on your resume. This was done on 31st March. This video will talk about how you can take the projects like what we show you today and put it as part of your resume. All right, so team, now let's go with howley.in for the first project, just to get our hands wet with the basic concepts and see what we do. Howley.in is very similar to a break.com and so on, where some of the most happening popular videos that have been going socially around in WhatsApp specifically are being hosted and shared. So participants, members, users come into this interface and say that, hey, I want to be able to go and look at um, any of these videos and be able to share it with their own audience and participants. For this, what we're going to do is very simple. We'll talk about a specific scenario that we will see how Selenium can help us automate, and we'll talk about probably a registration thing there. Okay, so once a user wants to be able to register, there's a specific steps that they have to follow. What is that uh, process? What are those steps to follow is something we're going to try and put up here. So we have two forms here. If you look at login form and a registration form. So we're going to look at the registration form and see how we can put up the username and email and go through the sign up process. So to do this, we will create a new test case here. And I'm going to call this as a test case sheet. And we will talk about simple information like what is the test case ID, step number, step detail. All right. Then we'll talk about the result for this step. So in this sheet itself, I'm going to say this is TC001, and I'll say within TC001, which is a test case 001, you can make it more specific, saying that it is HW like Howley underscore user registration underscore 001. So what I mean by giving this abbreviation, team, is very simple. We are trying to say that every application has multiple modules. All right, let me use the paint. So let's consider that application. So the entire website of howley.in that you see today is, let's say, bounded by this box, which is all the functionality. Within this, there are multiple modules. Modules are specific working components that are absolutely different from anything else, and they're all combined together to make the application. So we have a lot of modules within howley.in. Any application that you go and try and work with, you will notice that there are many sub modules or the given modules which complete the whole functionality. For example, we're talking about howley.in. Within this, there are modules like registration, login, and all these categories, social share, videos, how the user behaves once they start watching any of these videos, the templates, logos, everything can be considered into different modules, each of them, because they serve a different purpose. All these modules, once a user puts them together, it becomes our core application. So we are trying to give a categorization name saying that uh, Howley is the name for the first one, then underscore user registration. It's talking about the module name, and we're saying that this is the first test case within. Now we're saying that let's talk about the first step. As a test engineer, we have to talk about at length what we want to be able to do. Okay? So there are some expected steps that we'll perform, and then when you test it, you'll see a result coming out. So in here, visit howley.in. That's the first step that we're going to do. The second step is going to be click on RU new register link. RU new register link. The third step is once a user clicks on that link, they will go and fill the username and email field and then click on sign up. These are the next three steps that will come up. The reason I'm doing this is, team, I'm showing you how to go in a very systematic and structured manner for all that we do. Once we have a lot of clarity on what we do, we will be able to take this and implement very, very complex scripting with it easily. Your fundamental knowledge about how an application works, what is that functionality of it, what is the test case, is very critical. After that, it becomes easy for us to execute things. Give me one quick second. them back. So as a third step, what we will do is we will enter username. Fourth step is enter password. 5. Click on sign up button. Sixth step is confirm sign up. Okay. So far we have not touched anything to do with automation team, not Selenium IDE, not Webdriver, nothing. Why? Because it should be a lot of it should come to us with a lot of clarity as what we're trying to do as manual test engineers before we get into the world of automation, and that is where you all need to be very strong. So that's our core forte. Anyone who's doing automation cannot say that I'll only do automation, I will not have any kind of a control on the manual process. No, automation is just a tool. It's very simple, team. Let's say you go to a car shop, the mechanic will use a lot of tools to get your car fixed up and repair it or maintain it, but he's basically a mechanic. All right, he knows how things work. Tools will help him do these things better and faster, but without the basic knowledge of how the car works and the mechanics of it, the tools are useless. So the tools are as powerful as the one who is using it, the skill of that specific tradesman. So you have to make sure that your core fundamental process of software testing remains, and then you add on to it. Now, to do this, let's talk about quick steps. Develop a Selenium IDE script and then migrate to Webdriver. This is going to be what we will try and do. So let's talk about step number here. Step detail process. What we will do, team, we will not do any kind of a record and run. Okay, so, and this is something as a mandatory that we all should come with. No record and run. So we're saying that an IDE tool which comes with Selenium itself will help us do that, but we will not go in that route. We will go in this route. First step is identify the application under test. 2. Identify the functionality of the scenario of the test case. 3. Write down the manual test steps for the above test case. 4. Open Selenium IDE. 5. Start writing the test steps within IDE. Use XPath or CSS to identify elements. 7. Associate the element identifiers with each step. 8. Execute the test in IDE. 9. Migrate the script to WebDriver format using Java/JUnit. 10. Run the same test from Eclipse using Selenium WebDriver. That is going to be a core fundamental of what we will try and achieve. Sorry, team. In this specific project. So we are going through this process, and as part of this process, we have already completed a few of them here. So we've identified the application and a test. So I'll just say this is 100% done. We've also identified the functionality of the test case, and we've written them manually. Now the next step that we need to perform is to open Selenium IDE. So for us, what we're going to do, team, is once we use Firefox as a default browser, you are able to download, install, and start working with Selenium IDE. All these fundamentals of some of these things, team, I've put in those videos. I'm expecting you to go back and look at them. But once you have installed Selenium IDE on your Firefox browser as an add-on or plugin, you now have access to it under the Tools menu. So when you go under the Tools menu within the Firefox, you will see Selenium IDE. What Selenium IDE will do, team, is it will give you a interface or a UI through which you are able to write and run and execute any kind of an automation script. These scripts may not be all that powerful, but the basic level, they're great for us to start with. Selenium IDE is used also to record them, and we can say that, hey, let's click the record and start doing it. But I don't want you to do that. I want you to follow the process of how we do it in the real time. When you go to your project works, that's how you'll do it. In fact, you may not even start with IDE. You may go directly and jump to a Webdriver. But this will be a good platform for you to know how we start with IDE and then go to Webdriver, and then gradually we'll get into the core Java programming. So you don't have to worry about the Java programming portion as of now, right? All right, so here is the screen for Selenium IDE. You have the test case, and you can have multiple test cases. As you create them, they'll come up here. All the steps that you try and do will come out here in the table, and that's part of the command target value. So these three things will help us to do anything. Now, as part of basics of automation, team, what you need to know is automation is like a robot. Okay, it's like a robot. You have to give instructions to that robot as to what the robot needs to do, and the robot will then perform. Okay, so let's say you say robot walk. If you say walk, the robot will start walking. But are you telling it which direction to walk? So I'm saying walk is the instruction or the action or method that I want the robot to perform. But I also should give some kind of a data saying where it should go, right? Should it go forward, backward, how long, and so on. So these things, team, will complete the complete action of any robot. Selenium IDE is also like a robot. It is as smart as you are. It is not smarter. It just does the execution better because it can do it faster, it can do it more efficiently, and it can be more accurate than a human. But if you don't give the right instruction, it will not do. So these two portions as to what you want to do and where you want to do it. These two things, team, the what and where portion, is the ground rule and the fundamental concepts of automation. In this case, what I want to do will be in the command, and the target will be where I want to perform that. Value is nothing but any additional information. So the first step, if we go back to our initial plan, and we said that the first step in this test case is open howley.in. So to open howley.in, what you need to do, team, is say, see, as I start clicking on sheets, anything, it'll start adding it here. The first thing we'll do is open a new test case. New test case. And let's rename this. Go to properties. You'll get the pop-up. I'll just call this HW underscore user registration underscore 001. Exactly the same name I gave. That way we are able to easily match up and link it up. And that's how we should be able to do it in the live projects as well. So the first step, team, is say which is your base URL. The base URL is where you start your whole application under test execution from. And we're saying this is howley.in. That is the name of the website. The second one is um, we need to look into visiting that page. So to visit that page, team, what we will do out here is here's a Firefox ID. We'll use the command open. Open is a command that will give or enter a specific URL to which you can go to. And as you keep writing any command, you will start seeing the reference manual out here. This reference manual will basically help you to understand from a conceptual perspective what is that command exactly. So we're saying open, and the target is just one slash. Why are we giving just one slash? Because howley.in is our basic URL. So anything we do will be on howley.in. So if I can just save this as is, just go to file and say save test case and try and execute this. Let's call this as new folder, cell May 25th. Is that the one? 2015, and say create. Within this is our first test case. I'll just say user registration. Let's go 001. So I've saved it there. Now we're going to do something called as run. So if you have multiple test cases like user registration 001, 002 with some changes for the user registration module itself, we can all put them under one suite and say run them. We are only running one test case. So now the job of this Selenium IDE is to open the browser and carry us to howley.in. The browser was already there. So what it did is in the active window, wherever we were, it took us to howley.in. Now comes the next page, next one. And that is about clicking on a link. So I already have it open here. I want to be able to click on this Are You New Register link. How do you click on a link? How do you automate that step? Anytime you have a question, team, I want you to don't hesitate and go ahead and do the simple record. What record does, this red button here, is it will understand what the user is doing and store that step for you to be able to execute it later. It's a very easy solution that all these automation tools like Selenium, QTP, LoadRunner, all of these will give you. Be able to record a user activity and then perform it. The reason I'm saying we should not do it is number one, there are a lot of limitations to it. You will not be able to really explore to the power of custom scripting, custom coding. Number two is the basic fact that unless you do it as a test, that you write it with your own hands, it will become theoretical. So you will really not master it. But whenever you're stuck, for example, how to click on a button or how to enter text into a field or how to click a link. Whenever you have a question, I want you to do a record. Don't hesitate. In the initial few days, take the support of that record button. So I click on the record. Now Selenium IDE is in a listening state. It will try and listen and understand as to what it needs to do. Now we click on Are You New Register. So once I've clicked on this team, you'll notice there's a change that will happen within IDE. What happened? Why didn't it do anything? See? It said click and wait CSS equals A. And this is gone as the first step. It's supposed to be here. So let me try and drag it down. Or control right click, cut that, right click, and paste that. So the steps have to be in the same order. You cannot say that, hey, I will do this step first, that step next, and so on. There is a specific order, there is a specific timeline that we have to maintain in step execution. It has to go in that order. So now we've got one step there. The second step is, let's say that you want to fill the username field. All right. So here I'll just say Karthik. I don't even know if it's still recording. I'll have to go and check that now. Yeah, it is recording. So that's why it captured that. Type name equals user underscore login Karthik. So I just want you to look at this one thing. These three steps will basically say open Howley.in. That is the command. The target is the URL, and once I give a slash, it means that it will go to the root URL for it. The next command is click and wait. This is a command which will let the Selenium IDE give an instruction to click on a link or a button or anything in the application and wait. But which link will it click? How will it click? That information is provided by the target. There are multiple ways of identifying them using ID, using name, using CSS, using XPath. I let you know how you can master that and make sure that you put the right information through that. But right now it's captured it as a CSS. There's nothing as value. Why is there nothing as value? You'll know now. The third step is type. The command is to type something. That is the action. You want to write something down, but where will you write that information? Into a web edit field, into an edit field where a user is able to go into a text field and say that, hey, I want to write something here. Now, that specific information that you want to write, yes, you want to write something. Yes, you said where you want to write something. Now, that specific information that we want to write is the value, is the information. So, having done these three steps, let's try to execute this once again and see what comes up. So, it's going to Howley.in in the background, if you noticed him, and it's clicked on are you new register. It's gone to the user hyphen login page, and now it has written Karthik in the screen. So these three steps it has completed fundamentally very neatly. Now comes the third step. The third step is your email. Now, can you team as an audience tell me what will be the command for the third step? Command is what you want to do. Target is where you want to perform that. Value is if you need to provide additional information that will help to execute that step. For the third step, or rather fourth step, what is it that we need to do? See, enter username and enter password. Now, for entering the password, what is gonna be the command that you will use? Everyone, please use your chat, your question and answer that. What is the command in Selenium IDE that we will use to enter a password in that field? Type, exactly. It is not click, it is not write, it is not set. It is specific instruction. Why has it got to be specific? Because Selenium ID will not understand otherwise. Now, ideally we do a record and run, so we're not doing that anymore. So I've stopped it. This is in dark red, so it is ready to get recorded, but it's not recording right now. We will take the next step, click on that empty line here and start writing that command. As soon as you start keying it, you will see the suggestion box are opening up with all the commands that start with T and then Y and P and E like that. Now we're saying that type is the command. How do we know? We knew it through our earlier record and run experience of this. Why did I want you to use record and run? When you're mastering Selenium, initially you may want to be able to play around and have a guide besides you that's helping you to know what you're doing. Then you'll only do the custom IDE scripts, custom Webdriver scripts, frameworks, and so on. The second command, or rather the fourth step now, is also type. Type because we want to type in the password. So the what portion of what I kept saying, the what and where is done, what you want to do. You want to type. Now, where do you want to type that? That is the target. The target can be easily identified like this information. But I want you to focus at the XPath version T. So I'm gonna create a new column here, and because identifying elements is one of the key things as a starting point that we need to use for XPath. So already the XPaths of these three things came up. When we come into the next class team, we will talk about how we generate this. Let's this call this as XPath for now as a column. Now let's talk about enter password. How do we identify this? Very simple team. Look at this very in a very strong manner. I don't want you to get confused in this because this is very important. Right click on the element. Anything that you see on the web page are called as elements. They are things like text, edit fields, boxes, buttons, links, images. All the small objects, components that build up a website are basically termed as elements. Now we need to identify an element. Why do I need to identify an element? Because unless I tell Selenium where to type the password or email address, it will not do it. In fact, sorry, it's not password, it is your email. So see, we cannot make fundamental mistakes in our test cases. That is very important. It is not enter password, enter email address. Now, what you need to do is right click on your email and you will see couple of options team. One is called inspect element, that is coming by default these days with any browser. Next is called inspect element with Firebug. Do you see both these options? How did I get them? I right clicked on that specific field, and once you right click on it, you will see those two options coming up. Now when you do this team, you will do it and you know it only when you install Firebug. What you need to do is go to, I think the website name is get Firebug, but let's just type Firebug. Yeah, so getfirebug.com/downloads, or just go to Google and search for Firebug and you'll get the link to that page. So here it says download and so on. Once you go through that operation of just downloading, it's just a very small file, few MB. It will get installed within your Firefox. Firebug is primarily a Firefox plugin that will help you look at the code to be able to identify those elements. So once you do that, you will be able to see as you right click the option called inspect element with Firebug. Click on this thing. What this will do is it will show you the HTML code that is used to build up the website. What is the HTML code, Tim? Why is it critical? Very simple. What you see in a browser is nothing but UI or user interface. You see, let's say, a logo here. You see a menu links here. Then let's say you see a blog post here, and there's an image within it, and there's author details and all the text that's going with it. So all of this information, how is it that you and I are able to see in a web page? Yes, we can see it in a browser, but how is it coming? Because developers have created a HTML version of it that is used to show how the website looks. So the HTML code at the back end is the one which supports what you see at the front end for the web page. So what you see as a display, as a visual, is nothing but the basic HTML coding that we have done. So every web page needs to have HTML code. Yes, there can be JavaScript in it, there can be PHP in it, it could be HTML5, there could be CSS in it, and many other sets of code. But the base concept is HTML. When we say, um, sorry, when I say inspect element with Firebug, it is opening up this HTML code. If I take this HTML code, do a copy paste into a small simple HTML file, it will show me exactly the same application. So in the world of internet team, there is nothing like a secret sauce. It's very tough. People still try and hide some of these files and by storing them externally, but it's primarily very simple. When you see an application, it is very easy to replicate that and try and create something new accordingly. This is basically saying that here is the entire code. It helps any IT engineer, be it in software testing or development and so on, to get basic knowledge of HTML. For that, once again, I'll recommend you should go to itelearn.com, look at online courses, and under this you will find the courses for HTML. Do you see this HTML videos? If you go through that HTML videos team, you will be able to get the basic concept. It's important to know. It's not a very tough skill, nor is it like critical, but it is very important to know what HTML is, how it works, and so on. That's about it. Okay. Now, very quickly, team, we'll talk about this field. I don't think we have time enough in today's session to be able to create the XPath, but we'll do that tomorrow, and I'll tell you what videos once again to watch before we come back to tomorrow's session. This highlighted text is basically pointing to that specific field. This is where we need to be focused on. I'm introducing you to the Firebug for the first time, IDE for the first time, but then we'll keep on using it going forward, and you'll notice that you'll only get better at it. So you'll not get better at anything in the first instance. Always remember how you did your biking, cycling, swimming, running, and so on. No kid started just running without ever falling a few times, but they didn't stop. You'll stop building the ability to learn new things when you stop exploring, when you stop saying that, hey, I'm not learning it because I think I'll fail. Failure must happen. You all should go through it, but in such a healthy manner that it's only going to make you better and better overall. All right. So, team, I don't think we have enough time right now. I know I started the session late. Sorry, we had some technical slag. Now, what we'll do is when we come back in the next session, we will go through this same process. Everything is already stored in our documents and folders. So, this is all good, well accessible to us. We started from where we left and we take it forward from there. What I want you to definitely try and do, team, is make sure that you all go through the event called Selenium Webdriver with Java. This is the one we're doing right now. This is the crash course program. And in here, you will find the link to the prerequisites that I've asked. So here you go, team. So once you go under events and click on Selenium WebDriver with Java, you will see this is a crash course and these are the prerequisites. And to be able to watch them, you need to go to the Selenium Fast Track file from the previous batch, and that's enough. All of these are there in the first one or two projects. Just watch them as a movie to get an idea. Don't have to practice anything. Once we come back into our existing Howley.in project, then we'll start practicing extensively. So team, I'm ready to take any questions. Please make sure any questions related with the course, payments, fees, or all those, take it to my team at learn@itlearn.com. You have the email address also on the website. And make sure that the questions that you ask are only relevant to the topics that are happening and they're not futuristic, because we have such a large audience that comes to these sessions. We don't want to keep everyone occupied when it's a question that's future. They will get confused. So I want to keep it simple. I want to make sure that whatever we've covered till date, let your questions be on that part. Nothing out of it, but you have a technical question from your project or while you're practicing, you can always use a tech forum. We also started a talk with the tech team concept, so that also you can do. So if you click on the forum, you'll be able to go to the website and see how thousands of participants at ITE Learn are interacting on different topics. So you'll get access to all that once you get into the Premier Zone. So here you'll notice, team, there is different folders or sub forums for each of them. Selenium automation, almost about 58 pages. You will see that there are about 2,000 posts, 700 topics that have been discussed so far. So a lot of action and activity on Selenium, and you'll notice that all of these questions will really help you with the next thing. For example, Selenium Premium member, someone was asking a question, they'll get an answer soon. Record in Selenium IDE, and this is already getting answered. WebDriver exception, failed to connect to binary Firefox. So any question that you have, the easiest thing is to search Google or search this forum and see if there's already a solution that has been asked or addressed. Once you do that as a search, you'll get the reference to all this information, and the technical support will happen through that. Now, yes, there are guidelines for the forum usage, and also we started a new one concept called Open Technical Question and Answer with Manoj and Shankar. We conduct this every week at a specific time. You can see it here, and then you can log into the GoToMeeting at that point and just attend. So click on this link and it should take you to the how you can join those webinars. Okay. So the link is Tech Talk. It will tell you where the GoToMeeting link is, and you should be able to join it. All right. So, team, questions to you, please, right now. What questions do I have from what we've done so far? So, team, one common question that's been coming up is the prerequisites are important. Team. Even if you don't do, you'll not get lost in the session. But when you do that initial groundwork, it'll make things easier for us to move really fast. Once we move in that direction, the speed is going to pick up immensely. From day 3 and 4, you'll start seeing that you'll get into core Java coding, and then it'll become important for you to be really understand how it's working. So it's good to see what will happen. When is the next session? Do we have class tomorrow? So Shravan, Srinivas, team, Resvi, everyone, I'm not sure about it myself. I usually look at the go-to webinar link that will give me the reminder that when my next training is, and my team will ping me. So please do wait for communication. You'll get it. I am assuming it's tomorrow. That's my assumption. So tentatively, let's be ready for tomorrow. But the go-to webinar will show you the right. Uh, it'll show you the right timing and date for the class. Okay. I'm not a member. Can I able to attend the next session? Yes. So the first couple of sessions, team, we have an open door policy. You all can come in, watch it, see. I just want you all to like what you're doing. If you're not joining, we have no issue with it. We rarely do follow-up calls with participants. Just the fact that it'll give you a start, it'll get into the learning curve. That's predominantly what it is. Can we use other browsers with Selenium? Yes, absolutely. You can use other browsers also with Selenium. We can do cross-browser testing. But with Selenium IDE, that's a Firefox plugin. Like Firebug is a Firefox plugin. Selenium IDE, Selenium IDE works only with Firefox. It doesn't work with anything else. Why are you not using open and wait for OpenHoliday.in? So Vivek, open and wait is primarily for the initial URL opening, you'll use open only. Open and wait is when you click on a link. For example, after you fill the registration form, you say that you want to click on the sign up link or login link. That sign up link will take you to a new page. A lot of background processes will be running to make sure that the username email is valid and it's the right format and it's not in the database already and all. All those checks will be done. So it will take some time. Then we use open and wait or commands like click and wait. Okay. Open and wait is when you want to open a browser and wait for it. You don't need to do it because it will automatically wait for it before. So I'm clicking on this specific link and I want to wait before it does anything else. That's when we will use commands like click and wait. All right. How can we get the doc you wrote? Please assist. Thanks. So Swa, what we will do is we will share this folder with all the premium members. That way they have access to it. What I typically do, team, and I want you to listen very carefully, is the files that I generate in the training will not be provided to you immediately. Every project is between 2 to 5 days. So after each of this project work, I bundle all the files that we have done for the project into one zip file and then share it. And once you go to IT Learn website, you can directly download it from there itself. So that is how it is given. It will not be given in between the project. The access will be given at the end of the project. Then it will be one file. I'm new to automation itself and I have no prerequisites done before attending today's session. So very simple, Gayatri. What I've done today's session, is it clear for you? Could you understand the basics? Was it confusing for you, what we've done? Because what we're trying to do is we're going in a very systematic manner. We're saying that even a person who's not from an educational background will be able, IT background will be able to come and learn. Team, one of the best compliments that I keep receiving is the fact that while I'm trying to make the learning easy for such complex tools, I'm seeing that my voice goes not to just a system. You're there in front of the system, but I might be on a speaker and your entire family might be listening in. And what this has done is young adults, kids, and teens, and so on, are seeing this, my presentation videos, and how I doing the programming, and are getting motivated and are believing that self belief is generating in them that yes, even I can learn Java, I can learn Selenium, I can learn scripting or Python. It is giving them that direction on the fact that uh, Yes, it's not that tough. It's not that tough as the world has shown it to be. It seems to be simple and easy. That's my biggest compliment that I get when even young kids are able to really grasp what I'm saying. That is my approach. I go in that approach and I make sure that I give those basic concepts. Then we kick on to it. So, team, three, four more questions, and then we'll be done with today's session. We always use IDE before using WebDriver. No, Mohammed, only for project one. Project two will go directly to WebDriver, will not touch IDE. But first two, three sessions, it will help you ease out all those videos that I've asked you to watch. We'll come back again and we'll go through it that way. Will I be able to get those knowledge by watching that one video? Yes, Gayatri, you just watch. Not it's not one video. It will be about 3 to 4 hours of videos. You just have to watch them one by one. So, Gayatri, regarding payment and membership, please contact the team, not me here. Shravan, yes, it's like synchronization. Synchronization is when you're waiting for the page to load before you do the next step. You're waiting for it to get synchronized with you. Yeah, so Chandra, your question, can we get the Howley project in our resume apart from the live project which we are going to do? Yes, you can, but you can't put it saying that, hey, I've done this project as, you know, I worked in this company and so on. What you should say is that you used it as a training project. And team, you should not miss to see this specific one. I've been telling you about it. Um, need project experience on your resume. I definitely want all of you to watch this. It'll tell you exactly how you can take all the things that you have done to learn, how you can put it forward on implementation. I'm going to put it in the chat and I want everyone to take it, please, from there, the link, and start watching. All right, team. So I think we're almost done with the questions. I don't say anything new. The videos that all the live sessions that I do will get recorded, and the video will get hosted onto the website within 24 hours. So where will you find that video? Again, go back because the current event under events you'll see Selenium WebDriver Java crash course. Click on it, and you will see the video there. The earlier orientation session that I did about a week back is also here, and along with this you'll also see the this specific video there. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining, thank you so much for attending, and thank you for your patience for the delayed start of today's session because of technical issues. I'll see you back in day two. The schedule and everything will come to you by email. Just keep an eye on what emails you're getting, and we should be good from there. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye then. Take care, everyone.